All right, ladies and gentlemen, good Monday morning. My God, man, what a what an incredible amount of stuff has happened since we last talked, man. This has literally been the probably the most consequential 2 weeks of my life that I'll debrief you on. Got booted from a Fox hit this morning because the president was going to be talking. I think I'll allow that. But man, welcome to Solo Amazon. If you bought Amazon back at 152, you're up $50. You're welcome. You're up $50 in what, 3, 4 weeks, a month ago, whenever that was. You guys are printing money. What did I tell you, man? Down there at the bottom in the 150s on Amazon, I said, get rid of the wife and kids, mortgage the house, and buy Amazon. They were just talking about it on CNBC. It is the Death Star. I told you folks back then, it had never been this cheap in the history of Amazon, right? Absolute insanity. I remember this type of crap, and it was still printing money and everything like that. So Amazon was a steal. Technically, in my opinion, it is still a steal. You should be loading the boat with Amazon. I got synthetic stock. I had it low, and obviously, as I roll my synthetic stocks out, my current one's still a little bit underwater. But man, selling the short calls every week, doing some spreads has lowered that cost basis. Okay. Um, it's just let me go back to this real quick. You see this screenshot from the Drudge Report? Facebook, Amazon, Disney, Bitcoin, bubble bursting. Oh my God, we're all gonna die. And the media was freaking out. Well, no, that wasn't under Trump. That's a Drudge Report screenshot I took from Joe Biden in May of 2022, right? The S&P ended up down 25% by October of that year. Remember that bear market? I do. Not a peep. It's not a bear market. It is. No, it's not. And it's not a recession either. What? This time around, everybody's going full freak mode, except guys like me and smart people like you, right? Remember, stocks are melting down. I showed you this image. I took it from when I started investing in 1991 and trading to today. Well, it's about a month old, but we've recovered almost. We still have a little bit to go. The losses. Okay. And it's so funny to see the liberal media. They just can't stand anything with Donald Trump. That has a little bit of good in it, right? These people root again. Isn't that just what a miserable existence, man? Go for a walk, meditate, microdose. They want down markets. They want people hurting, right? Anything Trump does, good. Did you see the drug price thing last night and this morning? My God, with a stroke of a pen. Uh, Presidents for ages have talked about big pharma and getting them under control and prices. He's doing it. So since we've last talked, we have a potential trade deal with China, or at least, a little bit of a pause. The last American hostage held by those horrific terrorists, I don't even want to say their names, will be released this week. Vladimir fucking Putin and Zelensky are set to meet this week. And the man on the screen negotiated a ceasefire between two nuclear powers that was going to get turned into a harbor. Ladies and gentlemen, can we get a hell yeah? So let me remind you, man, I told you needed to have dry powder. You always have to have some dry powder on the sidelines and go get that dry powder when things like this happen. Now, I pray to God you live a long and fruitful life. What am I getting at? You will have another one of these somethings. Okay? I'm not going to show you my meltdown slide again. I've lived through all these things, man. .com bubble burst in 2000. We're all going to die. I was in the board of trade. I was in the SIBO. Went to the VIX pit in 2008. The great financial crisis. I lived through Obama's bullshit. COVID crash. We printed money. We made millions. Folks, every one of these has been a buying opportunity. I'm telling you, the folks in the Hamptons and Jamie Dimon and all the, Scott Bessent, great dude, but they all need things to go up and to the right. I don't agree with it all the time. I think things should be able to fail, but Trump recognizes he's got a throttle. It's called his mouth or his cell phone, right? And again, going through Twitter last night as I watched the Cats beat up on the Leafs, it's comical. Well, Trump folded again. You got clearly they'd rather, get sentenced to prison than read The Art of the Deal. You start nuts. You start with something insane that completely throws the other side off balance, and then you come in a little bit, and that's where they are, and you win. You don't start here in the middle, you idiots. But, oh, he blinked and everything like that. I'm like, so that's what you call negotiations? So anyway, I'm not going to ramble too much about this because we have a lot to talk about, but let me start at a high level here. Again, Amazon down there at 160, whatever it was, 162. You're welcome. And we've still got a ways to go, man. I told you, even at the bottom down here, Amazon's a $350, $400 stock in a couple of years. So hopefully, did everybody get, I think I covered for all the new solo Amazon people, new synthetic stock last week. That's printing money. Okay. So really excited. Now let me hit this real quick. I'll save most of this to AR on Wednesday, but folks, this was insane. The VA secretary answering my tweet a couple weeks ago, right? April 28th. Hey man, what are you doing? You need to be pushing psychedelics. What's going on? He answered it. Then his chief of media, whatever, reached out to me. He reached out to me and said, reach out to her. The next day in the cabinet meeting, the president asked, remember, did you watch that? I don't like these. I'm a Trump critic when I need to be. Enough with the cabinet meetings where they go around the table and they kiss your ring and your ass. It's gross. It's unseemly, especially the Attorney General of the United States. You're not Donald Trump's personal attorney. Stop it. Anyway, VA secretary got his minute and, gave his little pitch. I love you, Mr. President, and pitch. And Trump leaned forward and said, what's going on with veteran suicide? I fell out of my chair here, folks. The answer included psychedelics. Mr. President, there's some nonprofits. I'm like, oh my God. And looking in psycho, we got to study it. We got to look into it, but I'm hearing good things. I ran out into the backyard and started yelling. Susie's like, oh my God, did somebody die? I'm like, no. So I was supposed to be flying up to DC last week. Thursday was the federal summit on psychedelic medicine at the National Press Club. So I said, I'll fly up a day early if I can, I'll just come to the VA and meet with you. Her name is Morgan Ackley. So I went to the VA, man. I walked in the VA, never thought I'd be walking into the VA headquarters in Washington. Right up to the 10th floor, corner office overlooks the White House. I met with a bunch of heavies, and I briefed them, baby. The chief of staff was on her phone a couple times. I'm like, that's rude. I wouldn't do that. Well, I guess she was texting the secretary. It's funny because when I look back on this, I think she was probably feeling me out to see if I was an idiot or a nut, right? Because halfway through the meeting, Secretary Collins comes in and says, Wiz, I heard you were in the building. I had to come down and shake your hand. Thank you for everything you're doing. I gave him our No Fallen Heroes challenge coin. And he said, Wiz, we're on this. He said, if anybody's going to do this, it's us. It's this administration, and it's now. And I'm like, man, you are preaching to the choir. So we had a great talk with the secretary, which just, it blew me away. 4 years ago this month, a week from now, is my 4th year anniversary. And I never thought I'd be in Washington meeting with the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. What happened the next day? Well, the day I was at the VA meeting with the secretary, congressional lawmakers sent the secretary a letter. 2 of them. Lieutenant General, oh my God, Lieutenant General Congressman Jack Bergman from Michigan. He's a he's a fellow naval aviator. He's a Marine. He commanded 4th MAW, 4th Marine Aircraft Wing. And then Congressman Correa, Democrat from California. They opened the federal summit on psychedelic medicine, briefing us on this. I'm like, I was just there yesterday. Met them afterwards, the congressman and the lieutenant general. I was in my flight suit, baby. The general's like, what's it? I'm like, sir, I flew Hornets in 3rd MAW. I was on an exchange tour with the Marines. Wiz, give me your car. We need to talk, bro. I was blown away, ladies and gentlemen. And then, I just, it was a God moment. Then they did this article. Trump's VA secretary meets with psychedelic therapy advocate to discuss expanding access for military veterans. Boom. Blown away. So this article detailed my meeting with the secretary. And then one more thing before we truly get airborne. Did you see this over the weekend? Keeping promises to veterans. This is the White House, and establishing a national center for warrior independence. These huge places that they've either let degenerate or they have been using for illegal immigrants. See this? 3,000 homeless vets in LA. They have been booted because of illegals. The president of the United States has ordered in the next 120 days to build these places to try and end veteran homelessness. Look at this. The National Center for Warrior Independence. I don't want to hear a fucking word from the liberals. Oh, he's anti-veteran. He called suckers and losers. That's been debunked. It's a lie. And the guy's pro-veterans. And you're a complete idiot if you think VA cuts, it's so stupid. If throwing money at something and bodies made things better, our government this would be a utopia. It's stupid people who can't do critical thinking think that cuts mean badness. Matter of fact, if you get rid of shitty people, the good people end up doing better. Shitty people bring everybody else down. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it was one of the most incredible weeks of my life, and I am fired up. I appreciate everybody who supported our mission. We are just getting, this is nothing, right? And you guys know me. I don't pull any punches, man. I got with the secretary before we left. I said, hey, this is awesome. Sir, great words. We need action. He's like, I'm on it, Wiz. Hold me to account. He's an Air Force colonel and also a chaplain. So I have no problems calling him out. So anyway, hey, before I forget, Vic, you're in here, and I want to share his debrief. Folks, I think the serving size says 3. I don't take 3 Maverick mines in the morning because somebody's like, hey, it's a 30-day supply. I'm like, well, that doesn't, I usually don't go through mine that quick. It says, because Vic's like, hey, man, these were a little much for me. I'm like, holy shit. Remember, folks, in just about every brief, not just about in every brief, I have said, I start the day with a single Maverick mine, my meditation, and yoga. So start with 1 and then go up for there. Remember, if you feel something, it's not a microdose. And trust me, you're not getting, unless you take 9 bottles at the same time, you ain't gonna, it's just you get like a heightened sense of awareness or happiness or something like that. So do it. There you go. So Vic's like, hey, man. All right. I love this. So Mitch is a 2 guy. Vic's throttled back from his 3. He's like, Wiz, I just want to give you a heads up. I'm throttling back. So to be clear, ladies and gentlemen, remember, I do 1. I might fleet up to where Mitch is because I've never taken 2. Remember, you can do something like that if you want to flight test yourself. Take 1, step it up to 2, maybe, and then you find your happy medium. That's why I wanted to take some time to do this. So Vic, thanks for sharing your debrief point. Okay, here we go. Talk about also going from supersonic to psychedelic. At the National Press Club last week, in one of the side rooms, I did an interview with CBS. We lost another Hornet off the Truman. This was a landing mishap, folks. I don't know if the cable parted, the wire, when you land, if the cable can snap, folks. I think it's rated for 300 traps. We throw it overboard at like 100. Whatever it's rated for, we don't take it all the way to the limit. The hook on the back of the Hornet could have failed. The wire could have been set for the wrong aircraft. They have to set the right weight so the cable has enough tension, whatever. So it's pretty cool to go from supersonic to psychedelic. I'm at a psychedelic medicine meeting as I'm talking about this mishap off the Hornet. It's a hook. Yeah, the hook point. There's a video from like 2005 of the hook snapping from a Hornet. Not the aviator's faults. Both air crew ejected. But this is the third loss of a Hornet in Carrier Strike Group 8. Now you might be, which first of all which is a lot, right? But it isn't, sadly. I posted a video when I landed in DC last week because my phone was blown up. Wiz, why are we losing so many Hornets? I'm like, I'm going to age myself, but in the mid 90s, we lost 5 jets in workups. We hadn't even turned left to go west to Iraq yet. This is coast of San Diego. This is up in Fallon and Nashville. We lost 2 F-14 Tomcats. We lost 2 F-18 Hornets, and we lost a Prowler with 3 killed in it. We lost 8 aircrew, including the first female F-14 fighter pilot. So when everybody's freaking out about 3 Hornets, I get it, especially since one of them was shot down by their own boat, by the USS Gettysburg. It's a lot, but it's also not a lot. Does that make sense? And each mishap is weird. The landing mishap is weird enough. Getting shot down is weird. And then the carrier maneuvering to avoid fire is super weird or bad. Somebody failed really bad to have the carrier maneuver. This is not the Battle of Midway. Thomas, I could go into each one, man, but each one, there was the guy did a low transition in Nashville into a cloud layer, got disoriented, came back down and crashed into a condo and killed him and his backseater and people in the condo. Kara Holtgreen trying to land the Tomcat aboard the Lincoln. She crashed. The backseater ejected and lived. She ejected straight into the water. Gone. Mid-air collision in Fallon between 2 Hornets, one of my good buddies. Night catapult shot off the Lincoln in a Hornet. Gone. Flight control failure. Prowler. The pilot blacked out. The young Lieutenant JG blacked out pulling G's, and they're going straight down towards the Pacific. Nobody else in the Prowler has any controls, just the pilot, and he's unconscious. There's the brief. You got it. Yep. Stacy Bates, man. He was a good guy. Lost a Tomcat also before, which was bad. So that's not good. Anyway, here we go. India and Pakistan agree. Folks, this was good. Did you miss this? This was insane. I'm hearing about massive air-to-air engagements between the Pakistani Air Force and the Indian Air Force, long-range BVR shots. I mean, between 4th generation, 5th generation aircraft. I can't wait for the debrief. I'll maybe show you the picture tomorrow. I have a picture. I flew in the back of a Pakistani F-7 out of Mazroor Air Base in Karachi. One of the scariest flights of my life. But folks, 2 nuclear-armed powers in a full-blown, this was bad. Ceasefire. Now, if they could beat the shit out of each other for a week and then stop, tell me about Ukraine. It's because that freak Boris Yeltsin and Joe Biden, it's a business. Kid, you would think, but man, whether the carrier maneuvering or shooting down by the Gettysburg ain't his fault, right? I was thinking that. I'm like, talk about some bad luck as the CAG or the skipper of the boat. I mean, if you're the skipper of a carrier and you're maneuvering to avoid fire and you lose a jet over the side, I mean, no, Rick, I tried to get in the Federal Reserve meeting and even my contacts laughed. They're like, dude, first of all, I wouldn't recommend you to be in there because you'd be that guy. So I tried. I would have been that guy. I tried to, but no, you have to have official press. It's not a public press conference. It's credentialed financial media. So trust me, I tried, but it was funny. So here we go. We have gotten all of our, Liberation Day losses back. This is a pause. I haven't seen the details, but good news. Literally, folks, I've been seeing reports kind of smuggled out of China. I talked to some of my mastermind guys over the weekend. They're like, dude, there's footage of like riots in China. Factories have been closed for like a month. The Xi was on the ropes. So, of course, you're not going to see this reported. You're going to hear it from me because I've seen it, and the mainstream media in this country is not going to report anything bad. But China imploded. China, people were rioting in different cities. The factories were closed. People weren't getting paid. This was bad. The fact that China, did you see Besant over the weekend? He was like, this went better than we could have expected because they were on the ropes, folks. Now, I'm a little leery about all this. I'll be 1,000% honest, man. Why? Because the last time this happened, they unleashed a virus on the world that killed millions of people. They were Hong Kong riots, folks. Hong Kong riots, do you remember? 2019, 2020, every weekend, millions in Hong Kong were taken to the streets. They had MAGA hats on. Patrick Henry quotes in graffiti. I have one of those screenshots from an article, give me liberty or give me death. How do you pacify an island? How do you stop protests without, remember? If you were here, folks, I showed you that they were staging People's Liberation Army stuff around. They were like going to invade Hong Kong. And it was going to be, you remember the dude in front of the tank? This was going to get ugly. How do you tell everybody they have to stay inside? You get the island sick. Sadly, this virus escaped before they got the antidote. That's what they were working on. They're like, how can we placate? They were going to use it for Taiwan too, folks. This ain't hard. But it escaped to the wet market before they could have the antidote or whatever. Anyway, I don't know the details on this. You guys see the reporting that I do. It was funny. I was laughing on Twitter this weekend. Breaking: Chinese delegation storms out of meeting. Did you guys see this? You have to be on X, man. That's where you get breaking news. They went to lunch. The Chinese delegation, I think they all ended up at the same restaurant eventually, but it was so funny. Breaking. All the mainstream media liberals were frothing at the mouth that the Chinese had stormed out of the meeting. And an hour later, they were all back. And the administration was like, it's called lunch. So these people would, bite off their nose to spite their own face, ladies and gentlemen. It's so stupid. People just can't, And then, folks, this guy's told you twice. Have you listened to him? May 8th. You better go out and buy stocks now. Let me tell you, this country will be like a rocket ship that goes straight up. What did the whiz fighter tell you? The whiz fighter told you 6, and this was a month or two ago. What did I tell you? As this stuff started, right there, I told you, 6, 12, at the latest, I said 18 months. I said 6 to 12 months from now, this market will be ripping, and so will the economy. I said that. Do you have your America trade on? Your bullish on America trade? How's your bullish on America trade looking today on the S&P 500 years out into the future? And here's how you know. You can put this one on my tombstone too, folks. This is absolutely incredible. Individual investors have been net buyers of equities for 21 consecutive weeks. The longest streak on record. Wow. This is more than double. On the other hand, hedge funds have sold a record. Institutional clients have dumped. This is the largest divergence in retail versus institutional investors since when? The bear market I just talked about in 2022. If you bought the bear market in October of 2022, you're filthy rich. If you bought the bear market just now, you're going to be filthy rich as well. Ladies and gentlemen, say it with me. We are the smart money. These Ken Griffins, these other guys, ladies and gentlemen, nah. Trust me, I've met these people. They ain't Yeah, it's up. Yeah, there you go. 7 grand, 100%. Rick, we'll talk about that tomorrow in the primary brief. So if you're just in solo Amazon, you're failing. Join Full Throttle because tomorrow we'll look at a new America trade if you didn't get the other one. I just got a text from Doc, um, from one of our docs, Doc Eric. Um, he's like, oh, did I miss it? I'm like, yeah, you did. You missed it a month ago when I said do the America trade. You missed it last week when I texted it to you again, but you technically didn't miss it. We're still going to do it. So I'm not going to dig too much into this. I've been rambling about it up until this point, but this is a good. Let me give you this one. Like Steve Leisman, all these guys, they can't stand Donald Trump. They can't stand any of this. They are naysayers. They cannot, with a straight face, say anything good about any of this stuff, right? I love how Rick Santelli rips this guy apart when he needs to. He's a hyper partisan, man. It's just a joke. But the financial media, the sky is falling. Trump's going to kill us all. We're idiots, and they just can't deal with the victory. All right, now let's get to it, man. There's so much that happened in a week. This is insane. Um, so sat there, watched the Fed press conference in DC, right down the street. That was bad. That wasn't, it was your standard Fed porridge, but it was bad. He really is in a lose-lose scenario. He tried to do this. We're not going to bow to pressure, but a couple softball criticisms went that way. Like, why wouldn't you be cutting now to be preemptive? Well, we're going essentially the way. Let me give you the whiz cliff notes on what I saw. They're going to wait for something to break. So maybe the president, even though he kind of talks a little harsher than I would, too late, Jerome, too late, pal. He's always too late. Um, you know, maybe today part of the market reaction is Mr. Eeyore last week. Oh, it's going to rain. We're going to wait until we see data and everything. We're going to sit on our hands for now. We think policy is where it's supposed to be. All right. Well, now we might have great news with China and things are ripping again. What are you doing? I did not like the press conference. I was a Jerome Powell fan for a while, and I can't. He just is completely a partisan at this point. So, not too much to add on that because it doesn't matter at this point for us in trading in the markets. What matters for us is Donald J. Trump. You might hate that. Get over it. It's this, ladies and gentlemen. It's his ability to go, good deal with Xi. Did you see the press conference? He's like, I'm going to talk to Xi at the end of the week. Guys, who cares? Jerome, you're late. You should have cut. You're a partisan. You cut before the election when the market was at record highs. Inflation was going up, Mr. Chairman. Inflation kept going up for 5 months in a row, and you cut 50 for Kamala, but you're sitting on, now you're going to wait. Hyper-partisan conference. I didn't like it. He's been exposed, man. So, and then, there was the footsie with the whole, well, if he names a replacement early, will you? He's like, I'm staying to the end of my term. I'm not going to beat this dead horse. I already told you Trump's going to keep him to the end of his term. He needs a punching bag. If things do go wrong, it's Jerome Powell. You know this, folks, as well as I do. When things go right, he's still going to blame Jerome Powell. It would have been better. It would have been huger, more better if Jerome had acted. But, it is what it is, right? He's going to, so anyway, how tariffs are crushing small businesses. Nobody in power seems to care. Well, here we go. Wall Street Journal was turned into New York Times May 11th, right? This is yesterday. I'm like, what? Okay. Literally, this was 9 a.m. yesterday. Like before I went to yoga, I'm drinking. We go to 10:30 on Sundays so we can kind of sleep in. Drinking my coffee, reading my Wall Street Journal, getting ready for the week. I'm like, okay, standard Wall Street Journal story. By mid-afternoon yesterday, after the Chinese delegation storms out, they need to eat lunch. Oh, they're back? By mid-afternoon, this article ceases to exist. And listening to the president's press conference, he's like, I care about our farmers and this, and we're helping, and help's on the way. Needed a little bit of little bit of pain, and we're going to rip. Yeah, exactly. This man is one of the most consequential presidents. Love him or hate him, folks. He does what he says he's going to do, and there's no filter. So, and yeah, exactly. That's what I was just about to allude to. I'm like, maybe sit on your hands a little bit more. I know these journalists, it's their job to write shit, but they're starting to look pretty stupid. A couple more things, and then we'll get tactical. This interview last week with Paul Tudor Jones. First of all, I got to save this one. This will be another one. This guy's an idiot. Legendary investor Paul Tudor Jones. I'm saving this one. This one goes with the Bill Ackman or the Double Line Capital guy. Who was been wrong on massive big things. I managed $200 billion and I've been wrong more times than Wiz. So new lows. Let's remember this. Even if Trump cuts the tariffs, which he just did, we're going to hit new lows. Remember Double Line Capital guy? April 27th of 2020, my beautiful bride's birthday. We're going to retest the COVID lows. We never looked back. I said we'd never look back. He got that one on. Yep, Jeffrey Gunlock. So remember this one. But here's the creepy part of his interview. Please go watch his interview on CNBC. This guy was terrifying. Let me give you this. If I can't remember if I gave it to you last week. This is an interview you have to watch with Paul Tudor Jones. Again, guy puts his pants on like I do. The guy's wrong about this AI. The man literally, it was one of the most terrifying interviews I've heard about AI. And this guy was like, hey, I was super bullish. But after talking to Elon and a bunch of these people, first of all, it's going to destroy just about every job on the planet. Second of all, it's going to kill us. AI clearly poses an imminent threat to humanity in our lifetime. There is a 10% chance AI will lead to a weapon that takes out half of humanity. Are you kidding me? I mean, this, folks, do whatever you want. Go watch this. I've been saying this for years, folks. Do you remember in 2015, whenever it was, mid 2010s? I can find the date. Vladimir Putin. Before, when AI was just, kind of a chuckle, whoever controls AI is going to control the world. And he had like a room full of his top oligarchs or CEOs. And he's like, if we're not the first in this and running everything, I'm going to kill everybody in this room. It was almost like that. And they're all like, yes, sir. I'm telling you guys, AI is great. And, Amazon and getting rid of drivers and driverless trucks and orders. This is bad. AI is going to kill all of us someday. New tech fund backed by Jeff Bezos courts individual investors. Mitch, when I retire, I'm getting a ranch up in Colorado. I'm going to have a Faraday cage. Kind of go watch the movie Transcendence with Johnny Depp. Great movie. I'll be off the grid, baby. I am, I'll still be with you guys trading and stuff like that. But man, you just got to prepare, Mitch. It will, in healthcare. I mean, I saw this surgery a couple weeks ago, like millimicrons. I don't know shit about surgery, but it's more precise than a doctor could ever be. Like this AI robot that was doing surgery. I don't know, man, but I plan on being up in mountains and off the grid. All right. Anyway, what's last here? Oh, I'll share this in AR on Wednesday. This is from Johns Hopkins, man. Real quick executive summary here. I've helped atheists. I've helped agnostics. I've helped people who think like devil worshippers type of thing. Ain't nothing, Wiz. You're an idiot. Every one of those people who sat with psychedelic assisted therapy changed their mind. Now, on the other side, I've had a buddy look at me. He's like, I'm not going to call God. And I'm like, I'm not, I'm listening. Call it Steve. What do you have to say to me? There was something that was full of love, light, and energy and forgave me. And I felt connected to that and everybody. Great. Call it Steve. This was an incredible read. So it's so funny because people are, especially some of the uber religious types, like, oh, it's devil worship and you're dealing with Satan and it opens the doors to demons. Or maybe it does the exact opposite. All right, let's go. Amazon. Everybody good with their Amazon. Everybody, holy crap. I mean, we did synthetic stock last week, right? I think I did some short calls at the open because I was going to sell into this pop. I'll go show you them. We did synthetic stock last week, right? I mean, last week was like a lifetime ago. It feels like we did. Look at that. You did synthetic stock last week at 190. So how's that looking? I love it. So I sold. What did I sell? I sold the 212 and a half. So let me just, and I forgot to post them in the solo Amazon thing. So let's go out to Friday. I was looking at the money straddle before. What are we at? 206, 207. We're literally right in between here. So it's about $5 straddle. $6. Yeah, so I did the 212s and a half, folks. So the money straddle is up here at 213, 214. So I did the 212 and a halves. Okay. Aggressive short calls out to Friday would be the 210s. Now, let's talk about something right now. Well, Rick, here's what I'm going to say. Only one of two things is going to happen, and we're already giving back some of the fade or fading the rally up, which I fully expect because the devil's in the details with this trade deal. Headline numbers, or I'm sorry, headline gets the attention, devil's in the details. Ain't no super details yet. So we're going to fade a little bit. Let's just go look at the chart. We ripped. Let me bring this down here. We'll look at SPX for now because Amazon tends to move around with SPX as well. But look at this. It's almost like we know what we're doing. Through these moving averages, and then we come back and test it. Through these moving averages, come back and test it, and then rip up to the next one. Through these moving averages, keep going? We could. We won't. I think we're going to fade back down to I can't even believe this, back down to the 200. Remember, if you've been here for a while, oh my God, we're around the 50-20. Look at all this stuff. I haven't said the word 200-day moving average, since the beginning of March, right? March 3rd when we hit the 200-day moving average. So we're starting to get our circulatory system. The moving averages are starting to invert or roll verted, right? So here's what I'm talking about. I would not, and Rick, you can do the exact opposite trade as me. I'd sit on my hands right now. I wouldn't necessarily get super bullish on Amazon right now because I think we fill this gap. Let me go to Amazon instead of looking at SPX. Okay. 200, 202 and a half. Well, let's go look at Amazon over here. Now, if you think, let's do a couple of things. I was thinking weekly trade-ish. I mean, that's a big rip, man. This is more outsized than the rip on SPX. I mean, we went from being in the 190s, the 195 last week to we went up to 212 and a half. It looks like almost 211. So I'd hang a little bit. I'd wait, or to Rick's point, we could go out. I wouldn't necessarily do a weekly. I fully expect, in my opinion, to fade this rally a little bit. Victor, that's exactly what I do. I'd either wait for tomorrow, let the dust settle, right? I mean, the president, he's still talking. I mean, the guy's a machine, right? This was mainly on China. Look at the drug announcement. We can't even celebrate like the drug victory. That's bullish for psychedelics too, folks, by the way. Him pounding pharmaceutical drug prices. Go natural, baby. Um, and he like, oh, peace in India and Pakistan. Zelensky's going to meet with Putin later in the week. I'm smashing drug prices and I'll buy a trade deal. It's like, whoa, there's a lot of goodness going on right now, but the dust is going to settle. What did the VIX do? What did I tell you, man? VIX, baby. Look at that. Back to our resting heart rate. Told you at the top around here, man. I said, go out a month, go buy some puts on the VIX and put them in your filing cabinet. Remember, and remember, folks, like I said at the beginning, you're going to live a long and prosperous life from Spock. We're going to have another one of these. Look at the one back here in August. We're going to have freakouts. Okay. We're going to have freakouts. Oh my God. And then they end. Another freak out. Then it ends. Almost freak out. It ends. Super freak out. Super end. This is free money, ladies and gentlemen, trading the VIX. Okay. So this is the way to do it. When vol is, this is a wizism from day one. When vol is cheap, you buy it. You get bullish. When vol's expensive, you sell it. Right? Okay. Let's get back to Amazon. You can either just sell a short call and wait today, enjoy your coffee and, listen to the president's remarks and stuff like that. Or I fully expect something like this to happen. I mean, I can be wrong. Wiz, you're wrong. It's just going to keep on ripping. Great. My synthetic stock is going to rip. Love it. Or, you know what? I think you're right, Wiz. We're probably got a good rip today. I mean, it was up 8-9% earlier. I think it's up 6% right now. We're probably going to 200. Sounds like a good, first of all, it's a round number, Wiz, right? It was support and resistance back here. It was chop here. Okay. Maybe you go out 2 weeks. Okay. Maybe we go out 2 weeks and put on that bull put spread. I don't think we're going to super implode. Amazon, we debriefed the earnings last week, folks, but guess what? Now that the dust is settled from the smack in the face known as earnings, it was disgusting. They were awesome numbers. Little light guidance. On what? Trade war uncertainty. Are you not listening to the president ramble? Oh. So like I said last week with the earnings, I said, if you trim your sails for not good wind, when the wind starts gusting, baby, let's go. So I think Amazon might fill the gap. And that's it. And then rip. Okay. Fully don't expect a super slam again, back down to the crap, unless whatever. Xi stormed out and he isn't going to lunch. No India trade deal or anything like that. Ladies and gentlemen, China is the long pole in the tent. This is what everybody was worried about. I love Singapore. I love, Somalia type of thing, but their trade deals ain't going to be that big of a deal. It's the China deal. And if we're throttling stuff back to find some goodness and we stop getting screwed and make some money, we're going to rip. That's my commit criteria to, I don't see super implosion. And I also wouldn't step in front of this right now. I'll step in front with some short calls because I'm fine with those, but I wouldn't, if you super think it's going to fill the gap, throw on a bear call spread out to Friday. But a lot of you are sitting there doing the wizism that says what? When something's on a tear, either join it or get out of the way. This was an instant tear. Instant tears usually fade. Okay, good enough. So let's just step through some potential trades. If you think everything I just rambled about is most likely going to happen, go out 2 weeks. We're probably going to fade it and then rip. So, but I kind of agree with Vic. I'm going to show you what I'm thinking, but I'm probably going to sit on my hands and wait to fire this one. Let's go out 2 weeks, May 23rd. I love doing these a little bit longer dated trades too, because weeklies, in this type of environment, we're already on to the next thing. So I think that's about an $8.50 at the money straddle. That's my mental math. Let's go look at it. May 23rd. What are we doing here? Oh, I'm sorry. Right there. 8.5. pretty close. So that's technically like an $18 wide at the money straddle. The top is 216 and the bottom is 190. Let me write these down. 216, 199. Why the silence? If anything, you could go wide iron condor too. Like, because remember, folks, even though the VIX is imploding and the air is coming out of the volatility balloon, uncertainty, we might have a trade deal. There's still some air in the balloon. So you want to be a net seller of options. When volatility is still a little elevated, you want to be a net seller. So what I'm saying is you could probably do like super iron condor out 2 weeks and let it run around the football field. Okay, so let's just step through this. I'll lead with the bull put spread. However, if you do like super wide iron condor, you should lead with what? The bear call spread of that. Why? Let me step through that. That's a good learning point. Let me talk through that before we do anything. What do I mean? If you think there's the gap, Wiz, maybe trade deal with China, it's probably going to fade. You should, if you think it's going to fade, you do the bear call spread first. Why? Because there's more premium. The thing's up. And then what you do if tomorrow, Wednesday, we start to fade that little bit of a pop because we're getting details and stuff, that's when you'd leg into, it's called leg. You'd put on the bull put spread down here. So actually, as I talk through that, I'd probably do something like that. That feels more natural to me. Wiz, nope. I'd be bull put spread guy first. Okay. You just told me when something's on a tear, either join it or get out of the way. I do say that. I don't say insta-tear. If something insta-tears, it's called a gap. It tends to fill the gap. We good? So when something's on a tear, this was like a tear, right? I think for 2 weeks in a row, I got blown out of my short calls or rolled them up type of thing. I mean, and remember, let me cover that real quick if I haven't said this enough. Celebrate your victory. I got blown out of my short calls. Silence. Why'd you get into a synthetic stock on Amazon? I think it's going to go up and to the right. It did. You were right. You were wrong that it wasn't going to go up that much, or it was going to go up that much in a week, right? Celebrate that. You want your synthetic stock to, I almost some weeks or most weeks when my short calls go out worthless, I'm not happy. I'm like, yay, I'm lowering my cost basis to cover $100. I want this thing to rip. So remember, if your short calls get blown out, don't be that guy or gal that goes, oh, I lost money on my short calls. You didn't. You made more money on the synthetic stock going up. It's a higher delta than those short calls. Everybody understand that? So celebrate. Short calls are a trade, folks. Right? All right. So I must, I think I talked myself into that, legging in, doing the bear call first. Joe, another gap below 180? Oh, God, no. What are you asking me if I think that? Absolutely not. 180, folks, we have officially filled the gap. This is bullish, right? Now we ripped through the gap today. That's me just doing, you know what? 200 is probably half the gap there. Somebody can do the math real quick, but we have officially filled the gap. Implosion, filled the gap up. Now, let me give you my brief here. If we hover, it's bullish. If we go up, it's bullish. If we fill this gap and go the second it sneezes and goes down, it's bearish. 3 scenarios. Hover up, bullish. Hover down and up, bullish. Down and through the gap, bearish. I don't see 180. God forbid something going on, you know. Slash, I don't see an Iran strike happening. I had dinner with some buddies. Did some great work in DC, man. I'll tell you. Iran strike's not going to happen. Trump actually canceled, according to dinner over some steaks. President's not happy with Netanyahu. Apparently, in the background, Netanyahu's trying to push the president around and type of thing to strike Iran. And I remember, I'll be honest, man, a month and a half, 2 months ago, when he really rattled the sabers, like, you got to get rid of your nukes or I'm going to blow you up. I'm like, I get it. Dude, you were supposed to end the forever wars. Let's, um, so let me give you my opinion. Netanyahu can do it on his own, or he can't. He needs U.S. support, a lot of U.S. support, intel, refueling, everything. We have all the assets in the region, folks, for a reason, right? You don't make idle threats. We got a third of our B-2 bomber fleet and a bunch of B-52s now in Diego Garcia. All the assets are in place. So Trump got everything in place to kind of tell the mullahs, like, I don't want to do this. That's the best type of threat, not Joe Biden whispering into a microphone, don't, or Kamala. I have one word, don't. Oh, that's great. I've read the maps. Don't go into Rafah. Well, we read the maps too, Madam Vice President. We went into Rafah, and that's where all the bad guys were, and we killed them, and we rescued some hostages. So, let me give you my delta. I'm a 60 delta that Trump doesn't. There ain't going to be some massive Iran nuke strike. All bets are off if they say F you and we're going to enrich and everything like that. So it's been, and this is going on, Slash, because of the chopped messaging. I've been a little not a little, I've been critical. Whatever the ambassador is that's doing the negotiating. And then little Marco Rubio said one thing, and then the president said another. There was 3 separate messages on Iran. I'm like, folks, get the message together. One of them was like, no, they can enrich a certain amount. And then somebody came out, the White House came out and said, no, it's actually no. And then Rubio said something. I forget. I'm as confused as you guys probably are. Long answer to your short question. Good red team. Always a possibility. You know what? Because this guy, if you were here during the COVID crash, he walked from the Oval Office to the podium. I got intel that made people rich. The same intel person said he's shutting down the government, the whatever act. He runs the executive branch, which technically, if he shut that down, meat inspectors, the FAA, technically that he was going to close the country. He changed his mind from the White House to the podium. It caught his advisors off guard. They had like messages ready to go. He's like, nah, I'm not going to do it. Right? So, anyway, good question. But let's start digging. Let's go out 2 weeks and look at a 215 bear call spread. One more time, as I'm just lining up strikes, if you think I am wrong, we're going to rip. Ain't no going to fill the gap, Wiz. Do not do this. This is the best part about being an options trader. You can do the exact opposite. Now, this is a high, let me just step through it. Selling a single May 23rd, 215 call. I can't believe I'm talking about 215 again on Amazon. Doesn't this feel good? Where's my synthetic stock new people a month ago that got your synthetic stock at 160? I'm talking about 215 here, folks. You're welcome. That's a nice donation to the foundation. Sell a single 215 call by the 220. That's a 94-cent credit, 96-cent credit. Double it. Do the math. 180, 190. Okay. That's your maybe eject point. But this is right on the edge of my tolerance. What do you mean, Wiz? It's a 1 to 0.23. If you're doing this as a standalone spread, the risk to reward, you got to have your own SOP. Mine's 1 to 0.25. Unless I have what? An offsetting spread on to help with that risk, right? So you could do technically the whole kind of iron condor right now. If you have the mindset of, Wiz, I'm going to do what you said. I'm going to go pretty high out of the money here on a bear call spread. And if we start if we start to fill that gap, I'll leg into the iron condor with the bull put spread. Okay. What's it doing here? It's holding its own, isn't it? Oops. Okay. No data available for today's chart. Thank you. I mean, we're hanging, but this feels like a fade, folks, right? The news is out. Trump already announced it. It's out. It's in. That's usually a sign of we're going to fade. If you think the fade is going to happen this week, go to you can do a weekly trade. Let me at least cover that one. Let's go to let me just make sure. 1, 2, 3. So Friday is May 16th. It's the third Friday of the month, which means what? That's when regular options expire. On E-Trade, regular options are defined or identified by the month and the year. I don't have a May 16 on here. Or I do. It's that. Everybody get that? Every once in a while, somebody doesn't watch your options weapons school training goes, I don't get that. Oh, you should. But it would be 212.5 would be the conservative bear call spread. Yeah. Well, no, I wouldn't do this. It's 1 to 0.19. Right? It's a high probability. And it's funny because people are like, well, Wiz, it's a 77% probability of max profit. That's a high probability trade. Yeah, of course. Little risk, little reward. But if it blows up and, Amazon rip, breaking news, Jesus is the new CEO of Amazon, you're going to get destroyed. So back to what Vic said about 20 minutes ago, I wouldn't do anything except the short call. Wiz, I'm just going to hang. I want the dust to settle from the tariff announcements. I don't even know what's going on. I kept, I missed his press conference, obviously, to be with you guys. So I do think this is going to fade. However, there ain't no premium. If you want to go aggressive, Wiz, it is going to fade. Amazon's going to fill the gap. It usually does. It's a volatile environment. Do the 210. Do the 210, 215 bear call spread. However, it's a good risk to reward, 1 to 0.34. You're risking 373 to make 127. Okay. But it ain't a super high probability trade. 64% probability of a max profit. Okay. But that's the aggressive one, man. That's we're $3 away from that. Okay. So I don't force trades, guys. I'm showing stuff. If one of these resonates with you, knock yourself out. But me, no trade is a trade. Sometimes I already got a trade. I got synthetic stock and I got a short call on after Friday. I'm gonna eat some popcorn and watch the rest and keep an eye on Amazon. Okay. If we start to fade, maybe then shoot the 210, 215 out to Friday. Okay. But as it's on your screen right now, this is a aggressive trade. Oh yeah, good point. I'm sorry. It's even worse as the $2.50 one. See, look, it's 74 cents, right? I don't know why that's not working. Good catch, but it would. Let me just map that out. 210, 212.5. I don't know why the pricing. Well, it's the same price as going out to next week, right? Look at that. Well, actually, that's a little bit better. The risk to reward is better, but then this goes down. The probability of max profit. You see that? Okay. So good catch. $2.50 strikes. I had the $5 wide. Thank you for the mutual support, but it's still it's too aggressive for my blood. Okay. I mean, you're $2.75 away. Amazon can sneeze and go up the rest of the week. Okay. Does this all make sense? Don't over trade, right? Don't force any trades. let me say this one more time. Instatear, which is also known as a gap whiz, but you know my saying, when something's on a tear, either join it or get out of the way. But a tear would be something like, a good climb schedule. That's when you join it. Something like this, news is out, tends to fade. Okay, what's the gap here? 202 and a half. I mean, there are strikes down there at 202 and a half. So up to you. I'm not gonna. I'm here to be your flight instructor to show you potential opportunities. You're the pilot in command. If you want to take one of them, this is a buffet. If you want to step up and eat one of them, eat it. But I mean, let's just go look at this again. This is what I want to look at right there. That's a little nuts. Can it continue? Of course it can continue, but I just don't feel it. I mean, we are one Chinese foreign ministry tweet away from, we have no idea what the president is talking, or the U.S. delegation is talking about. So we're in a dogfight, folks. Most of you, I would recommend sitting on your hands and enjoying your synthetic stock. Before anybody new asks this, the answer is yes. I would add, if you don't have one on today, do it. My current synthetic stock is up here at like 220. Okay, so I'm still underwater a little bit, but what have I been doing? Selling short calls on the way down, doing iron condors, and lowering my cost basis. Okay. So let's go look, because I know I talked about it weeks ago. So let's see how the XLY is doing. We talked about a synthetic stock on XLY as well. Is the consumer coming back? That's a good looking recovery there. And the XLY, versus Amazon, so the XLY didn't get as hammered as much as Amazon, right? And it's actually outperforming Amazon. And they're similarly priced, folks. I mean, we're at 211 and Amazon's at 207. Isn't that funny? That's why I sometimes don't talk about it. But, you know, I exactly. And what's funny, folks, is we haven't had one of these recently where I've had the opportunity to remind people, like, don't do anything. Enjoy the brief today. Go get a cup of coffee and maybe rewind the president's remarks. Don't do anything. First of all, cash is a position and no trade is a trade. I have my synthetic stock on, Wiz. Great. Short call it or don't. Okay. Joe, I did Amazon synthetic weeks ago at 230. How do you do a weekly short trade against it? Margin or so, Joe, that's kind of what I started with. I sold this 212 and a half call against my synthetic stock. Okay, that's the short position I'm doing against it right here. Let me just show you my trade. Analyze. So my synthetic stock is at 225 out to June of 27. So I'm a little bit underwater like you are. Right? Okay. June of 27. And I have my disaster put right there. So this is my current position. So Joe, and you do whatever you want. I'm not telling you what to do. This is what I did out to Friday. I sold the 212 and a half call against it. And I'm bringing in $125 to do it. Okay. That just $125 a week, it's $500, $600 a month. So, okay. Joe, does that make sense? Make sure you watch the synthetic stock training on this. Okay. Somebody brought up SIBO earlier. Absolutely no news. Zero news I could find on SIBO. So I don't know if some somebody just dumped. This has been a run, folks. That is a monster. Look at this. That's a 17% run, 18% run on SIBO. That's profit taking. We filled the gap. So we're in a solo Amazon. I don't want to talk about SIBO too much. We'll talk about it in the primary brief tomorrow. That's a gift. Just like Amazon. Joe, I don't know what your margin requirement is. I have 2 accounts that are portfolio margining, and I get like 10-to-1 leverage. I don't know. You have to, I don't know. When you click on your order ticket, it should say, this is how it impacts your margin. So hundreds of people at TGO, we have hundreds of people with different margin, different money in their account, different margin rules. You got to be familiar with your own margin requirements. I don't know them. That's why I don't, first of all, I'm not registered, but I don't give individual investment advice. I don't know your personal position or anything. What along this topic, what I will say, Joe, is reminder, do not let, if you do the 212.5 calls, them expire in the money on Friday. Did anybody get a hit this morning? I sent out, I was flying back Friday from Reagan, sending out Max Afterburner and Hunter's messages like, warning, keep an eye on your short calls, folks, right? Mutual support. We have got to provide each other mutual support. Did anybody wake up Saturday with any short 100 shares in your account? So, Joe, this technically, I forget the name of it. I helped build Options House, folks, and that was 20 years ago, if you can believe that. You're not, those calls aren't naked because you have an underlying position in the name, right? You can't just sell. If you have zero in your account today and you wanted to sell 212.5 calls on Amazon, it's physically impossible. Not physically impossible unless you're Warren Buffett or Elon Musk. You don't have enough money on this planet to sell naked short calls. What I'm getting at is that will impact your margin, right? So whoever you trade with, your risk program is going to look at like, he wants to sell these short calls. Oh, but he's got a long-term bullish position underneath it. So they offset a little bit. It's actually a ratio. That's what it is. It's some sort of, but again, I forget, Joe. Pick up the phone, call your broker and say, hey, I have a synthetic stock position. And it's funny because everybody calls it different. Most people I know call it a synthetic stock position, but it's a wide bull put spread with a long call, or it's a synthetic collar or something, whatever. But talk to them. Whoops. Talk to them, and they should know your stuff, not me. Okay. Oh, hold on. Yeti. Here we go. Okay, so call them. You got it, Greg. Go Cats. You have to match them. Oh yeah, Scott. Obvious that should be obvious, but sometimes things aren't obvious. You have got to sell. If you got one synthetic stock contract, you can only sell one short call. Don't be trying to sell like five. The order won't go through. They'll say no. Okay. Exactly, Rick. Good point. If you're like, you know what, Wiz, it is going to kind of fill the gap here. You can't sell a naked call. You got to sell a bear call spread. And I stepped through a potential weekly bear call spread on Amazon, and then we looked at 1-2 weeks out. Okay. But to me, not enough premium in these things yet. Right? You don't want to be Superman in your cape flying around picking up dimes in front of a steamroller. Even Superman might get crushed. Okay. So let's wait. I got short calls on. Let's wait for the dust to settle. We'll talk more in the primary brief tomorrow because I want to see all this stuff. I want dust. I want tactical details of what the agreement is. But let me end on a high note, folks. America, we nailed this. The doom and gloom people at the bottom here, the Bill Ackman, remember that Bill Ackman indicator? Every time that guy wanks, and goes crying on CNBC, the market turns. Thank you, Mr. President, for listening. And yeah, okay, dude. We're gonna rip. I'm telling you, I remember Trump the guy's a businessman. He lied to us, right? I got this wrong. Let me end on this. I'll take a hit. 3 months ago, when he said, "I don't look at the stock market anymore," that was the first time. I don't care. We're gonna make things fair. I listened to him because it was getting painful. I'm like, the bond market, between us ladies, the bond market broke the president. The tail literally wagged the dog. So he's I could fight the F-18 on the edge of consciousness. He's fighting this market and the economy on the edge of consciousness. Doesn't want to break it, but he wants to squeeze as much out of it. It's called the art of the deal, folks. What I'm rambling about is if you didn't get the bullish on America trade, you're an idiot. Do it. Did they come out with more strikes? And if you don't know where that is, it's literally, I'm keeping it posted on the top of the homepage just so people can watch it. Right? Oh, that's the lifetime brief. Where is it? Oh, they put all my media hits up there. Where is it? If you don't have the bullish on America trade, you should do it now. Where is it? Right there. And it's up 100%, what, in weeks? 10 grand or 7 grand, somebody said. That's good, Celia. It's just sitting here in the background printing money. I love trades that sit in the background and print money. Let's go. Did they come out with any higher strikes? We're technically done with solo Amazon, but let me just look at SPX real quick. Dece of 2020. Nah, I think we got another month to go before they roll out new ones. Said SPX, not Amazon. Sorry. There we go. Nope, it's still Dece of 30. That's the trade. But holy crap, look at this trade right now, folks. I am awesome. Just ask me. This trade was what, $1,800 when we looked at it? Maybe two? No, I forget what, 17 fit, whatever it was. Now it's up at $4,300. This trade has the potential to make $100,000. I think when I did it, it was 98 grand, 99 grand. So it's already, you see how the max profit's going down a little bit because the people that did it already have that 4, 5, 6 grand in their account. You're welcome. So is everybody, if you're just in solo Amazon, I get it. Do the America trade. You know, so I absolutely. Yeah, it's right there. It's on our YouTube channel. I thought I had it stuck on the homepage, but it's the lifetime offer. No more lifetime, people. We got our 5. Somebody wrote the other day. I'm like, yeah, you can do lifetime at 20 grand. Oh, come on, man. When I don't like hearing myself talk, man. So I just gave you the link. One more time. America trade. It's not an Amazon trade, but you should have it on. If you do 3 contracts, 98 grand. Thanks, Dennis. If you do 3 contracts, it's potential $300,000. 2 contracts, 200 grand. 1 contract. That's a retirement, man. That's a college fund. That's a retirement. 1 trade at whatever it is today, $4,300 could potentially make 95 grand. Yeah. Bullish on America. If you're not, do the exact opposite. Go out into the future and get bearish, buy puts and say we're all going to die. You might not see the profits on that because we're all dead, which would be bad. Although we don't die, we only transition. Right? All right, folks. Good stuff, man. Like I said, blessed and unstoppable. Could not be more grateful for everything that happened last week. Did not think I'd be sitting. Here's my coin right there. I gave the secretary. This is awesome. We'll talk in AR on Wednesday more about this stuff. I'll tell you what happened at the National Press Club and the Federal Summit on Psychedelic Medicine, some of the companies that are in this space. Oh, before I forget, write this down. Friday at 1 p.m. It's official. Dr. Mash is coming to do the brief on Demerex. If you want to invest in Demerex, I am. Got equity to the moon. It is Friday at 1 p.m. If you haven't watched this yet, choke yourself. If you want to invest in ibogaine for alcohol use disorder, which will, I'm not going to steal her thunder. Wait until you see the numbers. So if you want to be an investor in Demerex, please go watch this to get up to speed before because I told her, I'm like, I'm going to make sure I prep the battlefield so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Less slides is more. I mean, she's got like booger eater molecule slides. I'm like, and my investors, my squadron gets it. Give 50% booger eating beakers and lab coat, and the rest, everything else. Rick, I don't know. You can ask Dr. Mash when they'd be going public. So, okay. But so right there, I have to schedule that brief. I'll send out an invite to everybody. Friday. 1300 Dr. Mash. I forgot to schedule that because I was red teaming the slides. I got swamped last week, obviously, folks. So Friday at 1 p.m., join me for it. There is no symbol, guys. It's a private company. Demorex is a private company that you can potentially invest in. Does she want to go public? You guys can ask her, and just come Friday. How about that? The financials would be insane. Bruce, you can ask her, man. She's going to get into all that stuff and where they are and all that stuff. Take a look at this tab, the where they are in the pipeline, and Nora Ibogaine and folks. Well, there you go, right there. Presenting a new drug application for this medicine, Nora Ibogaine, for alcohol use disorder. I personally don't think they go public. I think this would be a perfect example of because MindMed, Atai, Cybin, they're all kind of public companies. These type of companies, ask Cody. These are the ones that Johnson & Johnson comes in and says, yeah, here's the check. We're just going to put that. I don't want this to happen. Here's a check. We're going to put this on the shelf. Next. That would be great as an investor. It would suck as a human trying to help people heal. So anyway, I'm not going to steal her thunder. Friday, 1 p.m., Demorex Brief with Dr. Deborah Mash. Watch the podcast. Go to her website or the Demorex website and read all that stuff. So, okay, awesome. Great stuff, guys. Awesome week last week. Thanks for your flexibility. I canceled the brief on Wednesday, obviously. Forgive me for wanting to meet with the VA secretary. And thanks for all your support. You guys have been fantastic. We'll talk about it on AR on Wednesday again, but I'll give you a deeper brief. The 100 people in that room at the National Press Club are the movers and shakers, and this is here. It's not coming. It's here. All the ingredients are on the island in the kitchen, man, and the cake is going to be spectacular. It's been a grind, man. This is May 20th is my 4-year anniversary of doing the medicine. It's been a grind, and it's going to keep being a grind. You're never out of the fight. If I don't see shit soon enough, I'll start ripping people again. But I've never been more bullish after being in DC. You guys know me. I hate DC. I hate it. Last time I was in DC is when that congressman told me, I love what you're doing, but you're going to have a problem with the big pharma and the alcohol and tobacco folks. I'm like, isn't that your job? And I didn't go back. That was 3 years ago. I'm like, screw these people. I'm different. After this visit, I ain't no swamp creature, and I will throw knives if needed, but they're going to have notes attached. Never been more bullish and full of gratitude and thankful. Thankful for my health, my family, my life, you guys, and this mission. Okay. Thanks, Doug. I appreciate it. All right, guys. So I'll get the replay posted here shortly. Have a great rest of your day. Fights on. Namaste. And basi. Hey, somebody asked earlier, I didn't ignore you about the merch. The merch is on the website. If you want to get our cool merch, it's right there. And remember, thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Dr. Vic, for saying, hey, man, I take 3 and it might be a little much. I'm like, oh, shit. I take 1. So I'm going to thank you, Dr. Vic, for reminding me. I'm going to the new labels when we run out of this current batch. We're going to make sure it says start with 1 and maybe go up from there. Okay. So I appreciate that, Doc. All right, guys, I got to go. Fights on. Namaste and basi. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.